This is so true. She said the law won't help either. Locals and local authorities do not respond like people expect them to either. Be very prepared for isolation. So true. In my situation, when I finally got the strength to start calling the police on my abuser and the break-ins, I was being treated like I was the one who was mentally ill. Because what people don't understand is when you're explaining out loud what the mind of a crazy person is doing to you, because they're crazy and it's so crazy and far-fetched, and the average person can't understand why someone would ever do this. Because I was dealing with things like break-ins and I'd come home and all my light bulbs would be removed. Or I'd come home and I was the executor on my dad's will. All the papers on top of my refrigerator were spread out all over the counter. Or I'd come home and I have a snack shelf and all my snacks were moved from the snack shelf to my little table in my living room. And just different things because a narcissistic abuser wants you to know it's them. They can't intimidate you if you don't know it's them. So they leave little signs. Like when my car was being broken into, I came out the one day and there was a board game on my front seat. But the police were like, so how are they getting in? As if break-ins aren't a known crime that happens regularly, as if lockpicks aren't a thing. So I then had my maintenance worker who works here and he came down with like this little pick and showed them how easy it is to break into the door. So then they blamed me, like, why don't you have more secure locks here? I do, but we're not going to shame the victim, are we? We're not going to act like the problem is that the locks here aren't the greatest, as opposed to someone doing like felony level breaking and entering multiple times to a residence with a woman and a child, are we? Oh, but they did. And my stepdad's a retired police officer. He even went to them as like officer to officer to try to talk to them. And she is totally right. When I had 2 reports from 2 tech professionals that my phone is cloned and very odd things are happening, we couldn't prove it was him. First of all, police aren't trained in hacking. They told me to go to the FBI. I did everything I was supposed to do as a victim. And the FBI told me that it's reported that 3,300 some odd people are hacked a day in the U.S. and that they can't help individuals. They'd never get ahead. That they only really help corporations where like hundreds of people's data is compromised at once or large amounts of money are stolen. So you would be surprised when you finally do speak up to the police and family court and like the authorities at how little people actually help you, even when you have black and white evidence. So again, someone also commented on my last video that I was victim shaming. Honey, you need to understand what victim shaming is. I was never victim shaming. I was saying, as a victim, if you were a victim and going to be prepared to speak up and tell your story, just have a plan in place to be safe. That's all I was saying. I was never shaming her. I get it. My whole page is calling out my abuser. So I was not victim shaming. You were hearing something that wasn't said. But please be mindful and be prepared to not be believed. And that's like she said, you become very isolated. When I saw that the police weren't believing me and were believing him, the person doing this to me, while I was actively somehow losing more custody until 2.5 years later of nonstop fighting and using my fucking mouth in family court to get the truth out there, I was losing my mind. I gained 51 pounds. I went into deep depression. I'm telling you, I didn't leave my house. I'm slowly just getting back to like having the stamina to be a normal person again. So yeah, it's a very isolating, lonely, frustrating, terrifying experience when you're going to the police and the people who are there supposed to protect you and end up protecting your abuser, because your abuser is schooled in lying, honey. They've been lying since birth, bitch. Okay. And we tell the truth, and the truth doesn't sound believable, right? They're like, so someone's getting in and stealing your light bulbs? I'm like, yeah, correct. Google narcissistic stalking and you'll see that makes perfect sense. Do you think they did that? No. End rant. Choose yourself. Stay safe. You got this.